All right, hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of Our Life Beginnings and Always. I'm a little weirded out by the fact that we didn't get to do summer work last episode. Birthday was very long, but my plans are still a little discombobulated from that. We're gonna have to do, I don't know how to pronounce this word, soiree. We're gonna have to have our party in its own separate episode, and I wasn't expecting that, but let's hop into it. Let's do some summer work. Yippee! Okay, the car is not where I expected to start this episode, but you stared out the window, watching the scenery pass by as your mom drove down the quiet streets at a leisurely pace. A singer crooned sweetly from the radio, turned low enough that you could block it out if you wanted. You turned away from the window when your mom suddenly spoke up. Well, kids, are you excited to be going to the library? Yes, actually. Yes. Mom laughed, catching your eye in the rearview mirror and winking. I don't know why I asked. I already know how you feel about it. Taking a trip down to the library had always been something you enjoyed. What about you, Cove? You're a part of the conversation, too. Not really. If I didn't have school stuff to do, I would probably be somewhere else. I get it. I wasn't so keen on the library in my day either. Really? Well, no, unless you count under 6 years old as my day. She grinned over at the two of you briefly. Mom refocused on driving, humming along with the radio under her breath. You went back to staring outside. As you passed one street, you caught a glimpse of someone in brightly colored clothing passing out balloon animals. Okay. It sparked a faraway memory, and you felt your lips twitching up before consciously remembering why. It seems like ages ago now, you and Cove watching The Amazing Alexander put on a show. For a second, the urge to reminisce made the words line up on the back of your tongue, but you pushed them down after a second, content to smile alone. What? You blinked, startled to see Cove looking directly at you. I'll share with the class. Do you remember The Amazing Alexander? He gave us dolphin balloons. Oh, right. That was a while ago. Cove smiled faintly. It was the first time we ever went down that street together, I think. I miss my balloon. He was a good dolphin for that one afternoon I had him. Yeah. Hey, Cove. What were you going to name your balloon? You never told me. What? Huh, I don't know. I can't remember what kid me was thinking. Probably something obvious, like Flipper. Understandable. I'm so happy that we get to talk about the balloon again, because, I was devastated when it popped. You couldn't help the way your own smile curled up higher at the sentiment. You wanted to say something else, but couldn't quite think of what. So you just settled back into your seat. When silence filled the car again, you returned your attention to the window. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. You leaned your face into the sunshine, tempted to close your eyes as the gentle rays warmed your cheeks. Kit? Huh? You lifted yourself up a bit more, seeing your mom twisting her torso to face you, confused, from the front seat of the car. Are we here and I didn't know it? Next to you was nothing. He's gone. Cove's car door was already open. You'd reached the destination before you'd even realized it. I was asking what time should I pick you two up. Oh, 4 should be okay. That should give you enough time to finish your summer assignments, or at least make a large enough dent. Thanks, Mom. You hopped out of the car, remembering to grab your backpack at the last second. Alright then, have fun, you two. We will. You closed the door, giving a little wave. She waved back. The two of you went right to the door to the library. Cove reached it first and tugged it open, stepping inside. He kept it propped open so you could pass through behind him. The air was much cooler inside the building than it had been for the outside hot, inside cool. The space was filled with a soft din of papers being moved and whispered voices. Hey, you seem kinda distracted on the ride here. Just enjoying the day. I don't know. I would have just said I was lost in my thoughts, but I could say that too. Cove looked dubious at the vague answer. They were all kind of vague. Okay. What, you don't think it's nice out? I do. Your study buddy was standing at the front of the library by a long rack of magazines. Predictably, he was flipping through one with various sports players on the cover, looking intense enough to burst off the page. His head snapped up when you walked over, beaming wildly. Hey, Kit and Cove. Hi, were you waiting for a while? Not super long. Derek put the magazine back in its place, then he gestured to the space at his side. Most of the tables were empty, only a few people leafing through books. There's plenty of room. In unspoken agreement, the three of you started moving towards the seating area, Derek taking 2 steps for every one of Cove's. Oh, guess what? I'm pretty sure I've mastered the fake shot. Whatever that means, Derek, I'm proud of you. I'll show you some other time. Derek looked over to gauge the level of interest. Do you know it? Soccer is not really for me. All of the sporty stuff Cove liked was beach-related. Surfing, snorkeling, bodyboarding. And he didn't play a lot of team games. But he did like doubles volleyball. How does it go? Derek's eyes flashed with excitement as he explained. Well, you move the ball like you're going to go one way, then okay, I understand. He demonstrated by running a few steps ahead, showing off some fancy footwork. You do it like this, so it goes like that. You laughed, bobbing your head at his attempt to get the trick across with no ball. Then the librarian shushes us. The three of you looked over to the checkout desk. The librarian stood behind it and was wearing a deep frown. Sorry. You mouthed sorry and she sighed before turning back to the book she was reading. Derek scratched his cheek, choosing not to let that derail things. So, what are you guys working on? I have no idea. Oh boy, what weren't you working on? There were some things you had gotten to start with. You'd get to start a single assignment. I guess because I didn't feel like it. I generally feel like when I had schoolwork that I had to do to like prepare for the next year, which is what I assume we're doing here, I saved it till like the week before school. You had a few assignments to work on, but you hadn't sat down and decided which to focus on this afternoon or anything. You just grabbed all of them and chucked them into your backpack. You figured you could pick when the time came. I don't know. I'll let fate decide and do whichever I pull out of my bag first. Okay, yeah. There's some summer reading too. I have to go through an assigned book, but I'm gonna do that later since it doesn't need extra references or anything. What about you two? I've got a few worksheets. They look pretty easy, but my school gave us 3 books to read. Can't they just stick with one? I'm doing a timeline for history. Okay. Wow, we're even sitting at the table. This is so fun. You all found a table close to the tall bookshelves and set up camp. Within seconds, pencils and folders and books were strewn out on the surface. Eyes closed, you put a hand in your bag and pulled out the first book your fingers brushed against. You opened your eyes to find your math book before you. The matter had been settled. Okay, let's work. You were pretty confident you could get it done before your mom was set to return. You checked the requirements on the homework sheet your teacher had given you, then opened up your textbook to the pages you needed. Having a textbook during the summer is a little bit weird, but okay. After some time, Cove shifted in his seat, twisting his back as if trying to work knots out of it. God, me. You tilted your head, eyebrows raised in a silent question. I've been sitting too long. I'm gonna get up for a little while. Okay, I'm gonna stay here. I'm making good progress. If I was working on something, even if my back hurt, I would just do the little twist and then continue on, you know? Like, I am here. Also, I just don't understand getting up and walking around a little bit. Like, I'm here, right? So, I guess I'll stay. You didn't want to break your concentration and then have to get back into it. This is so independent and non-chatty, just like, we're here to work. You kept your head down and tried to keep your mind on the task at hand. Derek's pen continued scratching against the paper as you stared down at your own work, thinking about what to do next. You didn't even realize that Derek had stopped writing until his question caught your attention. Weird to think that we'll be back at school soon, huh? Yeah, a new school year. Are you looking forward to it? I wouldn't say I was looking forward to it, but this year is going to be the year. Okay. The year of what? The year I'm on the team. He pumped his fist in the air and momentarily became too loud for a library again. The team? Which one? Football or soccer? Both simultaneously. Why not both? That'd be pretty sweet, but I need to give it my all, whatever it is. Can't split my focus forever. You know what? Understandable. Thing is, I haven't figured out how I'm gonna pick. I'd have more time to practice and get real good if I stuck with just one. I don't know. Do what makes you happy, my dude. I'm happy playing both, but I'd be happier being better. But hey, how about you? What's the new school year got in store for you? Naps if I'm lucky. No, I don't want to think about it. Aw, Kit, I'll survive. You continued swapping visions of the year ahead until Cove returned. With a start, you realized that a solid 15 minutes had slipped by. It had only felt like a few moments. With fresh minds, you all turned back to your work. The sound of shuffling dragged you out of your head. You looked up, surprised to see Derek packing up. Is it 4? You're done? Derek casually shrugged, but you could tell that he felt proud to be the first finished. Oh, you're leaving us because you're done with your work. Told you it wasn't anything hard. What are you gonna do now? You wondered how Derek was going to spend his newfound freedom. I could look over what you're doing. Maybe I've got some tips that'll help. Like, I've got it. But also, like, this is the nice thing to say, right? But also, nah. No worries. Derek leaned on the back of his feet. Okay, I'm gonna look around while you guys finish. See you. Bye. See you. Later on, Cove shifted in his seat, closing his book as he looked over the notes he'd been taking. Glancing away, you contemplated what you had done thus far, too. I don't know how long it's been. I probably finished everything, or at least most of it. But I feel like I want to say everything. Just as you thought, it hadn't been that difficult. You wrapped it up already. Are you about ready? It's almost 4. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Come on. The both of you gathered up your books, and after returning the ones you'd used for reference to their proper shelves, set off to find whatever Derek, or wherever Derek had wandered off to. I'm getting distracted because the music for me is super loud. He was in the biographies section. His back was to the two of you, one hand above his head and the other supporting himself against the shelf as he strained to grab one of the books. Hey, Derek, we're ready. Oh, okay. He glanced towards the sound of your voice, then up towards the shelf he was trying to reach. That was a struggle you knew all too well. We're both short. Do you need help with that? Derek frowned, eyes flicking to Cove for just a second before shifting to look at the floor. Yeah, thanks. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll be tall eventually. Which one? Derek directed Cove towards the book he wanted. It was an autobiography of someone you'd never heard of before. Probably some sports person. And then the three of you moved to the front of the library to wait for your rides. You stood close to the window and let out a content sigh, feeling the rays warm you from the slightly chilly library interior. Got any plans after this? Gonna work on my technique. Can't get rusty while school's out. That answer was inevitable. Technique for what? Soccer. How about you two? You consider the question, mostly in case your moms had something penciled in for the evening that you'd forgotten. Nothing planned. Me neither. Oh, that's my dad's car. Cool, good chat. Glad we could all come together for that. Derek lifted a hand to wave, pushing the door open and heading towards the blue pickup truck waiting in the parking lot. Nice car choice. Good job. See ya, Kit. Bye, Cove. You watch Derek jog off before scanning the area for your mom. Did you get everything done? I don't know. Sort of. Oh boy. I saw you're done. He smiled, impressed. You felt pretty good about that. I feel like I'll need to come back to the library again before summer's over. For a book reading? Duh. Even if your assigned work was done, you might have to double check some things or do preparation for the start of the year. I'll come with you. I still have those books to read anyway. You were a little surprised when he said that, mostly because you'd already been picturing Cove there. You weren't planning on going unless I'm going? You jock. Thanks. So, want to keep hanging out when we get back? We could do something actually together, not just next to each other at the same table. He looked at you with a wry smile. You gave a shy nod, feeling suddenly nervous. Thanks. The two of you smiled at each other. It wasn't long before you spied your mom's car coming down the road. There she is. Time to go then. You climbed into the car, sliding into your usual seats and buckling the belts. Hey kiddos, did you get a lot done? I'm done. Amazing. The car shifted into action and you watched as the library shrunk into the distance. It wouldn't be the last time you saw it this summer. Even better, you were going to have good company with you. You were already counting down the days. Mom teased some more information about the day out of you. When she learned you two were planning on returning, she immediately offered to give you a ride next time. You continued to answer Mom's questions about what you'd been working on, then told her about your plans to stick with Cove after getting back. But soon enough, the trip was over. You had arrived back to your neighborhood. Cove had run over to his house real quick to drop off his stuff. He also made a pit stop to put your backpack away before heading out again. The two of you regrouped in the middle of the road, halfway between your houses. With everything wrapped up, you could now freely enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Your conversation resumed as you both began walking down the street together. Okay, hold on. Pause. I'm dying. It's hot in here. Let me turn on the fan. Turn on the light too, because I'm looking a little dark in my face cam. I really thought that I'd be able to make it, be like, oh, I don't need the fan. Like, it's not incredibly hot in here. And then I'm dying. Okay, back to it though. The afternoon came and went. Dinner was eaten, and you were cleaning up the dishes left behind from it. Cove had elected to stay for the meal today. He passed you a couple plates to rinse in the sink. Even though he didn't have to, Cove asked to do at least something to help. You scrubbed the last of them and let out a satisfied sigh. Okay, they're done. I'm going upstairs now. You addressed your guest for the evening. Do you want to stay? Yeah, I don't have to go back till later. Take it easy, kids. Thank you for the help. When you got back to your room, you noticed your backpack from earlier. You figured it would be best to unpack the stuff you needed before going to bed. Cove flopped into your desk chair and it spun around a bit as he got comfortable. He watched you contently as you walked across the room. He didn't need or expect you to try entertaining him constantly. It was just nice to be near each other even when nothing was going on. You hefted your bag up onto the bed. It sunk into the comforter. With that, you started to sort through books and paper packets. Not all of it were things you'd need anytime soon. A small pile of the most important assets began to grow at the side of your backpack until you'd gone over it all. You had actually finished flipping through the contents, but that wasn't all of your work. You instinctively pulled the opening closer to you and peered inside. A second look through commenced, and then a third, and then you began to open the smaller pockets. Am I missing something? You were missing your math assignment! Oh no! Kit? By this point, Cove could tell something was wrong. He had spent the better part of today completely finishing it, and now it was gone. It hadn't been that noteworthy before, but the bag wasn't really zipped when you had first begun to look through. This is terrible. This is a catastrophe. The work could have fallen out somewhere if you had it in the first place. I don't know that this is really me. I don't know. I guess I'm between paralyzed and like stress level shot up. I guess stress. It was gone and now you're going to have to replace everything you did for it. My math work isn't in my backpack. At your word, Cove jumped out of his seat. This is a catastrophe. Oh crap, is there somewhere we can look? The bag was kind of open, so he winced sympathetically. It left a lot of options for where it might be, most of them bad. You made a sudden bolt for the other side of your room. You started to scour the spot the backpack was originally left in. With nothing in sight there, you expanded the search to the rest of the space. Cove did his best to stay out of your way while keeping an eye open for your missing work. It was a frantic and ultimately fruitless effort. Your assignment wasn't here. Let's check downstairs. It might still be in your house someplace. Fine. Why, hello again. Is everything alright? No, it's a catastrophe, Mother. You told your mom what was going on. I unpacked my bag and one of my assignments wasn't there. Sweetie, I'm so sorry. We don't have time for that right now. We need to look. What's missing? An assignment for school from the library today. Mom's eyebrows raised with concern at that answer. That's a pickle. I'll call right now. I think they might still be open. Okay. Go, do it. Oh, honey, can you tell us if there was anything you noticed? You were with Kit, right? I saw the assignment when Kit had it out of the library. I don't remember them putting it away, but I'm pretty positive there was nothing left on the table when we were done. He spoke resolutely. Before now, he hadn't considered that something might have been left behind. He felt the same when leaving, though it was hard not to second-guess things now. Your mom re-entered the scene a few minutes later. The look on her face was not promising. Oh no. So I got a hold of one of the librarians. They don't have any papers with your name on them. Not that they could see. Anyway, I'm sorry. You groaned in frustration. Aw, honey, we'll figure this out. Hey, let's go over to my house. I can check my bag. Maybe I took it when we were packing up and didn't notice. Maybe, you thief. Okay. You got the impression that this wasn't just another place to look. You were stressed over the situation here. He was trying to give you an out. Let's go. Cove nodded and made his way to the door. Your mom stood by with creased brows. Take care, kids. Good luck. Bye, Moms. You briskly made the trip across the street, and in less than a minute, you were going through the threshold of Cove's house. Cove had been in a rush earlier today, too. His backpack was tossed on the couch without a thought. No one had moved it since then. You can sit down or anything. I'm gonna look. He lifted up the backpack and unzipped it in a fluid motion. You were left to wait as he rooted around inside with an unexpected level of seriousness. There was no way you could relax right now. You leaned closer, trying to get a peek into what he was seeing. Every second of not knowing made you more tense. Your impatience didn't go unnoticed. He tore through the contents rapidly, until Cove's eyes drifted from the opening of the bag and traced the length of the room's floor. His arm was still tucked away inside, but the search was over. Your heart sank. It was obvious there wasn't much of a chance Cove somehow had it this whole time. Still, you wanted to hope. Finally, Cove lowered his backpack to the floor while slipping his arm out, and he wasn't empty-handed. Cove extended a few papers your way. Here. Your eyes flicked down at the assignment and then went right back up to his face. That's your copy. In the almost silent room, you could hear the slight crinkling of paper as his fingers gripped tighter. His expression was just as firm. No, it's yours. No. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to say that. No. Why not? That assignment and grades, they're important to you, and, you're important to me, so... He flatly dropped the papers at your feet, refusing to meet your eyes. I mean, if you have the assignment, I can just copy down... It's math, right? I can just copy down the questions I need on a separate piece of paper and then hand that in. Redo it. I think I did pretty good with it. The marks shouldn't be bad. I don't trust you. Not in that way. I don't trust anybody in that way. But also no. Oh, it's not right. I guess Cove's consideration made you feel good, but I'm not accepting it. Even if the situation was still bad, you were touched at how much he cared for you. Missing an assignment is something that doesn't bother me. I mean, you've known me long enough to see what does upset me. Cove chuckled bashfully. You imagined he was taking a small stroll down memory lane to all the moments he'd been vulnerable with you in the past. Your eyes met, and his face was full of affection. Don't look at me like that. Then the moment was interrupted by the piercing ring of the Holden home phone. You wordlessly stared down at one another with raised brows. Cove's mouth formed a tiny frown. Kyra appeared from the hall on the far side of the living. You were here this whole time? Summoned by the noise. Hey Cove, hi Kit. I didn't know you were here. I didn't either. My goodness. She strolled on past. Your eyes followed her. Cove's mom answered the call, giving a chipper greeting to whoever was on the other end. A few uh-huhs and mm-hms later, Kyra thanked the person and placed the phone down once more. Kit, that was your ma. She said your stuff was in the car. I'm so upset. Really? That's what I was told. Now I'll just return to the guest room. You can have your privacy. Cove's face cycled from shock to sour as his mom made her escape, laughing. He shook the interruption off and refocused on you. They've got it. Yeah, all of these. Embarrassed. Can't believe it. Don't know how to react. I guess embarrassed a little bit more. It was just in the car? It was humiliating. You were left speechless. You've got it. Cove smiled crookedly and shrugged one shoulder. We should probably head to your house. Your moms might want to talk to you. Yeah, my parents really care about me. They kept searching even after you left, and because of that, it all worked out. Cove nodded in agreement. Cove, I'm happy you were here. Thank you. He brightened up with sparkling eyes. Anytime, Kit. While stepping towards the door together, there was a thought in your head that you knew to be true. You were going to be there for one another when it came to the big things and with the small things. That was cute. It also, was super stressful, but that was cute. I never want to lose my homework ever again. I'm too old for school. I never want to lose my homework ever again. That's escape. I don't know what this is going to be about. Part of me is like, okay, we're escaping somewhere. The other part of me is thinking about like the car brand. I don't know which one that is because I'm not a car person. But he looked up, noticing the sun was finally setting. You've been trying to delay this end of the day for as long as possible. Why? The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices. I'd love to do that. I'm allergic, but... The snack does make me happy. Unfortunately, I cannot eat it in real life, but I will live vicariously through this video game. You picked up another slice. Even though you already had dinner, you were still delighted to make room for watermelon. You turned to look at Cove. You both had been sitting in comfortable silence for a while now. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched as his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit a seed into the bush. Ew. Cove shrugged, but his cheeks turned slightly pink. He glanced at you bashfully, and you could tell he was searching for words to explain himself. No, I get it. It's just... into the bush. I don't really like the seeds. Do normal people eat watermelon seeds, Cove? The hard black ones. It feels weird swallowing them whole. No, I get it. It's just... you could pick them out before you eat the watermelon. Or you could spit them into like a napkin or something, but into the bush? It makes sense, but still, can you get a napkin or find a trash can? Your nose wrinkled in disgust. It was hard to shake how gross him spitting stuff on the ground was. I am going to rehab you, Cove. He chewed on that thought for a moment, figuratively and literally, as he continued eating his current slice. Okay, I can maybe find something. Maybe? Cove rolled his eyes, but his mouth pulled into a small smile. He opted to take another bite instead of giving you the satisfaction of a response. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. That one is your third already. Is that bad? It tastes really good. If we have a plate of like 20, you can eat as many as you want until there are no more on the plate. Is that an option? You bumped him on the shoulder. You knocked the mostly finished slice out of his hand. No, it's alright. It isn't super filling and there's still a lot left. Why not? Alright, that's all I needed. He picked up a fourth slice with confidence and looked at you. His smile stretched ear to ear. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down on the plate next to him. I was not expecting a moment titled Escapade to be about eating watermelon. What are we doing here? Are you okay? Yeah. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything? What do you mean? I thought I felt a raindrop. The sun's still out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off at your front step. Immediately, you felt a tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right. Oh, sure enough. Cove was still staring up at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemused. It's a sun shower. It seemed crazy, but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Booming with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes towards his front door and reveled in the moment. It's rain. I wouldn't say I'm annoyed, it's happening. It's nice when it's hot out. I wouldn't hide from it. to water. I don't know, excited. You closed your eyes and threw your head back, letting the rain shower over you. The cool drops felt so right after the warmth of the day, exactly what I'm saying. Feeling energized, you ran over to Cove and laughed at how soaked he already was. Not that he cared, because he was busy spinning in the middle of the street. You clapped and bounced up on your heels. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil, tickling your nose. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair, combing it back. He frowned. It's over. Your shirt is wet. That's fun and interesting. They generally are when there's sun showers. The drops of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. It was fun. Yeah, it's so cool that happened. You then looked over at the door and sighed. You knew Ma wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing, because he watched you sympathetically. You can dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. Because you often just walk in wet? Sure. Yeah? Okay. His whole demeanor brightened. You figured he must have felt relieved to help you avoid getting into any trouble. Cove led you inside and you stayed close to— I feel like I was just here. You know? Like, we have a ton of spare towels. I've just gotta dig them out of the hall closet. Okay. Sometimes this game knows me so well, and sometimes I'm just very neutral, unbothered, and the game wants me to have emotions. Like, no problem. It'll be only a second. Just hang out in the living room. But maybe don't sit on the couch. You answered him with a slight smile. Okay. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time, towels in hand. Here. Thanks. You accepted one and began to pat yourself down. A sudden call caught both of your attentions. I thought I heard voices. Hi. Cove's mom strolled into the living room with a curious grin. What happened here? You're both wet. There was a sun shower. Badass. Hell yeah. Cove smiled back at his parent. We came inside to dry off. My moms don't want me going into my house when I'm wet, so I told Kit to come back here. That was very sweet of you, baby. She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kyra's eyes. I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Sure. Cove only offered to shrug and a bent smile to his mom. He looked at you for a real answer. My answer would be shrug and okay. Like, damn it, don't make me choose. Sure. Fun. This'll be good. Kyra pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers early in the summer. Head on out to the garage. I'll meet you there in just a minute. Sorry my mom can be so pushy. She gets some idea in her head and that's what she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car and Kyra wasn't too far behind. Okay, into the back, you two. I was gonna say, do you have a different car than the car that we normally see? I don't know that car well enough to be like, is this a different car or is it just flipped? You know? I think the other one had like blue accents in the interior. I don't know. Once the three of you were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. When she hit the main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way. Hey, what were you expecting? We're going for a drive to air dry. Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. Meanwhile, you closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. I said this drive was going to be for getting air dried. Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration. You disabled the back? Sorry, can't hear you. Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. You laughed and enjoyed the event. You yelled into the wind and burst into laughter. Looking over at Cove, you saw him relax. He seemed glad that you were having fun. Oh, uh-oh. And then something struck the side of your leg. Several papers were freed from under the car seats and were blown about. I hope you didn't need those. They can't go out the windows. Cove began to haphazardly reach around the space to try and get it all back under wraps. Amused, you helped. Mom, close the windows! Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She just kept driving. Cove snatched several of the papers out of the air, and he caught others, preventing most of them from flying out of the window on your side. You showed Cove your collection while grinning wildly. He figured if they were sitting out in the back of the car, they couldn't be important enough to get upset over. Honestly, they're not my papers. But Cove continued looking annoyed. Your smile started to slip, and at that, his expression softened. Thanks for helping. The sun set completely, and at that, Kyra rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had in his fists. My mom is crazy. He ran a hand through his windblown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation. I'm neutral. The evening had really turned out to be oh my god, I wish I could read today. The evening had really turned out to be more interesting than you expected. Grinning, you were happy with your odds with whatever else happened next. Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom. I bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but now I feel tricked. You shook your head and looked out the window. Kyra continued driving, the radio volume. Hold on, I want to see what happens if you side with Kyra, because I kind of side with Kyra, like we were going for a drive to get dried. She did say she was taking us on a drive to air out, and that's what happened. Precisely, Kit. Kyra continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows, and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Listen, I'm just saying here, this is a discussion between somebody who has never driven with the windows down in a Jeep and somebody who has. Okay, yeah. The windows are down. Your hair is gonna go everywhere. You're gonna try. Kyra lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around. You caught her coy smirk. Oh boy, what are you planning now? Does anybody know what we drove past during the dry cycle? I'm not sure I want to. A movie theater. Okay. Most places have one somewhere. It isn't that late, you know. We can probably still catch a show. Really, Mom? We don't even know what would be playing. That's what makes it fun. Sure. I don't like that there's no neutral options. I'm going with the flow. Sure. Both of you? We're on the same side, given. He seemed hesitant. You gave him a smile and Cove eased up a bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating impulsive behavior every day, but it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have another night like this. To watch a movie, I'm sure we will, but... And don't worry, Kit, I said I'd watch over you for the night, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there. That is a yikes. I didn't bring any shoes. You can't exactly go into a movie theater without shoes. You should always bring shoes when you're going out. I mean, okay, hold on. To be fair, because we were eating watermelon. And then we got wet, and then we walked into your house. I'm not sure that I would be just outside on my front step with shoes on. You know what? In this instance, I probably wouldn't be wearing any either. We have to go back home to get shoes, and then we can go watch a movie. How are we gonna go inside barefoot? Well, we can't. It's against the rules. We'll sneak through quick. No one will notice. You can do it just this once. You bounced in your seat excitedly, like that was actually going to happen. Kyra was right. You never got to do stuff like this. Okay, we're going to see some movies barefoot. Kyra drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite being hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema. You're excited about this too, don't lie. You were right along with him. The tarmac was still wet from before and cold to stand on with bare feet. Inside, you noticed there were no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kyra paid that no mind and strolled up towards the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking around. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught, and standing still would have, if there were people around to really notice. But the more anxiously he behaved, the more it rubbed off onto you. You fidgeted in place. Keep quiet. Biting the inside of your cheek, you kept your eyes focused on the ticket counter. Eliciting a sigh of relief out of you, Kyra turned with the tickets in hand. She quickly herded you and Cove towards the showing room. I'm so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on, we've almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. Wow, we really are in the movies. Cool. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing. Yes! Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kyra couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kyra pointed at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kyra sighed contently. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. Then he leaned over and whispered to you. Do you have any idea what the movie is? No. I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets. Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film. One about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. I hate horror. You became nervous. You struggled with both. You struggled with frightening films. It was one thing to go see a movie you knew nothing about, but a horror movie? That was an entirely different story, and it was eating at you that you had no idea what kind of scary you should be bracing for. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed that he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bit down on his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. That was something you learned about him early on. I mean this in a chatting way, but I'm not sure that the game is going to take it in that way. You angled your body in the seat. Closer? Like, yo. Let's chat, but I don't think the game is going to do that to me. You bent yourself more and more until you were essentially leaning against him. It had been slow enough that Cove hadn't noticed at first. But soon he started to peek at you out of the corner of his eye. He watched you with an unspoken question written all over his face. Will you be okay? Probably. I don't know. His expression softened. Without words or hesitation, he offered you his hand. Cove. I understand this is like a moment with capital letters and all. Yes, but I'm not gonna like it. Your fingers wrapped tight around his. He gave your hand a squeeze as if to doubly confirm he was there. Cove flashed you an encouraging smile before you had dared to look back at the screen. You felt a little better. Sometimes the other people in the theater screamed or jeered or clapped, depending on what was happening. The killer kills someone. Yeah! Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but in a dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive. You stayed to let the credits roll and for the theater to clear out. Then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late, Kyra was exuding an optimistic energy. We survived it. Your nerves were still calming down from the movie. Cove gave you a worried glance, then a hard look at his mom. A movie wasn't ever going to kill us, it was going to make us unhappy. She deflated a little at the chastising. I mean, that was a little harsh, but... Sorry, gang, I didn't know it would be that bad. It made me really tense. I guess that's the point of horror stuff, but I kind of don't want to have to feel like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not for everyone. He narrowed his eyes defensively at the attempt to encourage him. Yeah, it wasn't just me either. Aw, Kit, how are you feeling? I don't want to be mean, but also I don't like horror movies. And I wouldn't say that it scared me. But I wouldn't lie. I don't know, I hated it. I'm sorry. Kyra frowned at that. I'm really sorry. I should have asked if they were off-limit genres. Me today and speaking, I don't know what's up. I think I have some making up to do. Who wants dessert or just some regular food? What? You were surprised when you realized Kyra wasn't on the way home, but turning into a drive-through burger restaurant. Sure. That's the spirit. Get whatever you want. Ha! Oh, so many options. Late at night? A milkshake. And fries. I'm always a slut for fries. Is that alright? It's a-okay. Kyra pulled up to the window and ordered what you asked for first. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa, what are you gonna do with all that? Eat it. The whole menu? To be fair, it's the value menu. I don't know what is on. I'm assuming we're at McDonald's. I don't know what's on the McDonald's value menu. It's been a while. I know that ice cream cones and fries at the very least were when I was a kid. I think there's like a pack of nuggets that's on it. A burger, perhaps. It's kind of a lot if you get the whole thing, but like, it's not the entire menu. That's right. There are only maybe 10 things on it, and they're about $1 each. McDonald's. I can swing it. And besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm gonna feed to your dad. He'll be in heaven. Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you. You're quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed to both of you in the back seats. She then drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me. You chose one of the wrapped sandwiches and handed it to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else. Thanks very much. Accepting that this was what was going to be happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling food out of the bags for himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings, and he happily munched on them. I ordered fries and a milkshake. You made sure to grab something you liked. Fries and a milkshake. You weren't even questioning Kyra's crazy ride anymore. The adventure continued, and you were so preoccupied in the back that you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kyra turned to look over her shoulder. Okay, party people, it seems we've reached the end of the road. Confused, you checked out of the window and saw nothing except empty road ahead. And then you noticed it, the now leaving sign. Kyra took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kyra turned the car around and parked it alongside the road. I think you both could use a break to stretch your legs, and I doubt anyone is going to come through here this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. Okay. You got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms while he strolled around. Hi. Did I miss something? Because that just seemed weird that it like pops up. Okay, I didn't. I'm a little worried. But I also kind of don't care. Like, I just going with the flow, but also, what's going on currently? Why are we making a call? Nope, that's not what I'm worried about. Following Cove's lead, you stretched your limbs and yawned. You wondered how long this pit stop was going to take. When Cove realized you were trailing behind him, he turned around and his mouth turned into a small smile. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression change. His eyebrows furrowed, and it seemed like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next. Kit, I'm really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this, seriously. You let him continue without interruption. I think she feels like she just has to get out there and do things with me while she can, and she wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others, and it didn't start off good. Thinking about how Kyra's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end. She's giving you a taste of your own medicine. Yeah. Cove breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks. It went silent between you both, so you jumped when you heard the sound of the car door closing. Cove, Kit. You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side, waving. The sight brought a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where both of you were standing. Thanks for waiting. Not that we could go anywhere, we're on the outskirts of town. I didn't mind. How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled his hair and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. He thought about how interesting it was to see how Cove interacted with his mom, and then the memory hit you. That first summer, Cove ran away to this very spot, trying to find his way back to his mom. And now here they were, together. You kept that thought to yourself. Anyways, it's kind of cool to be here, right on the edge of town. Exactly, we're standing on a precipice. Okay. You nodded along, not wanting to press the subject either way. Kyra let out a big breath of air. We should probably call it a night, huh? Yes, but I'm not going to say that, so I will shrug. Part of you is surprised Kyra was finally throwing in the towel. Kyra shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still strewn about. You rested your head into the seat as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in close to whisper. I can talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea, you didn't have a choice. Thanks. You're welcome. Cove smiled bashfully at you, but said nothing else. The drive home was smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely, and you felt your eyelids getting heavy. Your head rested on the side of the car. Your thoughts were quieting as your eyelids grew heavy. I laugh because, like, I feel like I'm such a disappointing person to be playing this game. Because I don't go for, like, the shippy, cute moments between us two. But, like, I feel like you guys understand that I'm not the biggest into touching other people, right? Like, I feel like you're picking that up. And so if it were me and I was tired in a car, the door, right? Cool. When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not your bedroom. It was somehow already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up there. Sitting up in bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It almost felt like a dream more than a real event, but it definitely happened. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapade this summer. What an ending. Like, we just... Okay, I expected there to be a little bit more to that. But that was our 2 moments for this episode. Definitely not what I was expecting out of these, but we have one more event and then summer will end because I don't have Derek's DLC, and I'm excited for this one. I've heard a little bit about it. I don't know too crazy much, but like, I feel like this is a big moment, at least in the fandom's eyes, right? And so I'm excited to experience, just to understand the fandom a little bit more. But I'm gonna have to end this episode here. We're at an hour. Honestly, probably a little bit more at this point. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you're enjoying our life so far. I know I definitely am. And I will see you next time for a little party, a little fun get together. I don't know why it's happening. I just know it's happening.